Hi everyone, how are you? I hope you're good. I hope you're doing great. Right, so today we're going to learn about simple past tense. Do you still remember simple past tense? Do you have any clue? Well, there are three things that we are going to learn in this unit. First is what is simple past tense? And then we will learn about what are past verbs. The last is how to write sentences in simple past tense. Okay, now let's go to the first discussion. What is simple past tense? What is simple past tense? Do you have any clue? No? Let's take a look. So simple past tense is used to talk about a finished action that happened before now. Do you confuse? Are you confused? Let's take a look on the diagram. Past, now, and future. We are in the now. We are in now position. What happened a minute before, that was past. And what will happen a minute later, that's future. Okay, do you get it? I'll repeat. We are in now situation. What happened a minute before was past. And what will happen in the minute later, that will be future. Okay? There are two things that you need to remember. First, any activities that happened before now is considered as past activities. And then, if you want to make a simple past sentence, then you have to use past verbs. Okay, remember that. Any activities before now is considered as past activities. And to make simple past sentences, you have to use past verbs. Get it now? Right. Let's take a look. What are past verbs? Remember something? No? Past verbs are the past forms of the present verbs. Okay, I will repeat. Past verbs are the past forms of the present verbs. There are two types of past verbs. First, regular verbs, and the second, irregular verbs. But what are the differences between regular verbs and irregular verbs? Let's take a look on the table below. Look, regular verbs. Verbs do not change completely. They have additional ed or d at the end of the verbs, while the pronunciation is almost similar to the present verbs. Okay, so first, the verbs do not change completely, and second, have additional ed or d at the end of the verbs, and the last, they have the pronunciation is almost similar to the present verbs. For example, want become wanted, wanted. So in the end of the word, it has additional ed, wanted, and also the pronunciation is not change, doesn't change, right? It's almost similar. Want becomes wanted. Use become used, because use is use ends with e, so we do not need to add ed. Instead, we just use d. Use becomes used, and walk becomes walked. Okay, can you repeat after me? Want, wanted. Use, used. Walk, walked. Right, correct. Now let's move on to irregular verbs. In the irregular verbs, it's pretty much different with regular verbs. First, some verbs do not change. But some others change completely. Okay? Some verbs do not change at all. But others change completely. And they do not have additional ed or d at the end of the verbs. They don't. You do not need to add ed or d at the end of the verbs. And the last, some verbs have changes in the pronunciation completely. Let's take a look. Put becomes put. This verb doesn't change. Put, put. Cut, cut. Hit, hit. Okay? And then buy becomes bought. So the verb changes. The pronunciation also changes. Buy, bought. And then we have another example. Read becomes read. So the pronunciation changes, but the spelling remains the same. Okay? Now let's take a look on the examples of regular and irregular verbs. What are they? Walk becomes walked. Study becomes studied. Ask becomes asked. Talk becomes talked. Play becomes played. Visit becomes visited. Need becomes needed. Correct. So let's repeat after me. Walk, walked. Study, studied. Ask, asked. Talk, talked. Play, played. Visit, visited. Need, needed. Okay, good. Next is the irregular verbs. We have go becomes went. Do or does becomes did. Make becomes made. Get becomes got. Have or has becomes had. Is or am becomes was. And are becomes were. Yes. So go becomes went. Do not confuse with when, W-H-E-N. Okay, that's different. Now let's repeat after me. Go becomes went. Do or does becomes did. Make becomes made. Get becomes got. Have or has becomes had. Is or am becomes was. Yes. Are becomes were. Good. Yeah, you make progression. That's about the past verbs. Now let's move on to how to write sentences in simple past tense. There are three types of simple past sentences that you need to know. First, affirmative or positive sentence. And then, number two, it is the negative sentence. Three, it is interrogative or questions. Okay, so I will repeat. First, affirmative or positive sentence, and then negative sentence, and then interrogative or questions. Let's take a look one by one. Affirmative or positive sentence. Before you make this sentence, you need to remember how to make the sentence. You need subject plus verb 2. What is verb 2? Verb 2 is the past verb. Remember that? Past verbs? Yeah. Let's take a look on the example. Jonathan played football. Jonathan is the subject. Okay, and then use verb to. Jonathan played football. Played. That is the verb to or the past verb. It has ed, additional ed at the end of the word. And then Lily and Ria studied English. Lily and Ria, they are the subject, and studied is the verb to. Okay, get it? Yeah, remember, affirmative or positive sentence is subject plus verb to. Let's take a look on the negative sentence. In the negative sentence, you have to use subject plus was or were plus not, because in the negative we use not. Or use subject plus did plus not plus verb 1. There are notes here that you need to remember. Use was if the subject is singular or one person except you. If you use you as the subject, you cannot use was. Instead, use were if the subjects are plural or more than one person. Use were. Remember that. Were, not where. Were. Okay? Yeah, let's take a look on the example. In the negative sentence, here are the examples. I did not meet Pam yesterday. When you use did, I did not. Subject is I and use did not. Do not change the verb. Let the verb remains basic. I did not meet Pam yesterday. Meet, that's verb 1, because you use did. So you use verb 1. Remember that. And then the second example, I was not at home last night. I was not at home last night. The subject is I, and then because I use I, so use was. It's only one person, singular. But if the subject is plural, like the third example, Tina and Ria were not at home last night. Tina and Ria were not at home last night. Tina and Ria are the subjects, and we use were here. Okay, get it? Because, yes, because they are plural. Let's take a look on the interrogative or questions. There are some patterns that you need to know here. If you start the question with did, then use did, subject plus verb 1. Remember that you do not change the verb whenever you have did. And then was or were plus subject. If you use was or were as the beginning of the sentence or the questions, then you need to add subject, but you do not need the verb. And then WH question. If you start with WH question and use did, subject, verb 1. Well, if you use WH question, yeah, plus was or were plus subject. Let's dig more about this. There are some notes here that you need to read. Remember, WH questions means where, what, when, why, who, and how. Use was if the subject is singular or one person, except you. Yeah, do not use you with was. Use were if the subject is plural or more than one person. And since it is questions, you need to add a question mark at the end of the sentence. Okay? do not forget to add a question mark at the end of the sentence. Let's take a look on the examples. When you use did, you are going to ask for a yes/no questions. Did you study English last night? Use did, and then subject, study, that's the verb one, you do not change the verb. English last night, did you study English last night? Okay, but if you use was for the beginning, still it is a yes or no questions. Was Tina with you last night? Because the subject is only one, only singular, use was. Was Tina with you last night? And if the subject is plural, use were. Were Tina and Ria with you last night? Were Tina and Ria with you last night? Okay, but if you use WH question, like where did you go yesterday? Where did you go yesterday? Because you use where, you are asking about a place, and then you use did, and then subject, and then go, that's verb one, and then yeah, yesterday. Okay, right, next. Why was he absent? Use WH question, and then because the subject is only one, he, okay, so we use was. Why was he absent? And then the last one, why were they absent? Because the subject is plural, so you use were. Okay, you can see the example, the difference between the fifth and the sixth examples. Yeah, why was he absent and why were they absent? Okay, because the subject are different. One is singular and the second is plural. So you use was or were. Remember the notes. Okay, do you have any question? I hope you understand about simple past tense. I hope this video can give you a good understanding about how to, what is simple past tense, what are past verbs, and how to compose sentences in simple past tense. Okay, so I guess that's all, kiddos. Thank you. So, do you have any question? Does anyone have any question? If you do, please write down in the comment box below. Okay? See ya on the second or on the next video. Bye.